Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this session on NVivo. My name is Marit. I do training and support for NVivo since 2018. And today I want to show you how you can use the NVivo AI assistant to efficiently analyze your qualitative or mixed method data. And since I have planned this session, something really exciting has happened, which is that we had a new release, an update release for NVivo. We are now on version 15.3. It was just released last week. And this is a really exciting release because NVivo got an entirely new branding. We have a new color scheme in the interface. We have a new logo. And of course, there are also a lot of new features that have been added to this version. So today I'm going to try to do both. So I'm going to show you the AI features as promised, but I will also walk you through the interface and let you know all the things that have been added and that have, that will improve the user experience for you. But of course, I know that this group is probably pretty diverse. Some of you might have never heard of NVivo. Some of you might be using it for a while. So I will try and start just with a general, general introduction of what you can do in NVivo, how to or show you where you can import your files, how you can organize the data, and then how you can explore your data. I already want to point you to the last part that I want to talk about, which is our special training offer for autumn 2025. I mentioned it now so that I don't forget in the end. In the handouts section of GoToWebinar, you find a lot of handouts that you can already download about NVivo, but also about other products. And one of the handouts contains information about this special training offer where you can get a discount on EndNote and NVivo courses from now on until the end of January. So just download the information and you will find all the links, all the relevant links to the upcoming courses. Okay, but what do you do with NVivo? So NVivo is a software for qualitative data analysis, and you can use it to analyze all different types of sources, and you can have everything in one place. Like you see on the screen, you can import many different file types, starting from regular Word documents, which could be your interview transcripts, over to PDFs, which might even come from your reference management system. You can also bring in surveys via Excel or from SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics if you want to analyze the open-ended questions. You can bring in audio, video files. And one thing that is now even stronger is the integration with Excel Stat. Excel Stat is a statistical tool, and you can now export to Excel Stat any data that you have in NVivo. I will show this to you in the end of the session, but this might be something that is really relevant for those of you who are planning on doing a mixed methods approach and who are not sure, like, what can I gain from using NVivo? And I can tell you that with this new release 15.3, there have been a lot of mixed methods features added to the software that might be quite interesting for those of you. Why would we want to use a software like NVivo for our analysis? First of all, like I said, you have everything in one place, which makes it very convenient. You can analyze all your data. And then you have, of course, a lot of really interesting query and visualization tools that you can use. So if you work with text-based data, you can start just with a simple word cloud just to see, okay, what are the words that people use in the interviews? What might be things that are concerned with? What are terms that always pop up, that across different interviews? You can also search for specific terms or phrases and see how words are used in context. Again, just to get a feel of what are relevant terms, phrases, things that people talk about in my data. And then the more work you do, if you add your coding, which I will explain to you what that is, and also your demographic data, maybe you have collected some information about who your participants are, about the age, gender, or whatnot, you can then run even more complex queries like a crosstab, or just to compare the answers that you get from different people in different groups. Depending on your needs, you can also add some add-ons to NVivo. So if you work with interviews and need to transcribe them, you can use a tool called NVivo Transcription. It's really useful as it's an automated transcription assistant where you upload your audio video file. It's available in 43 languages. So you let it transcribe your interviews, and then you get an editing tool so that you can already adjust, in case the transcription, the automated transcription got anything wrong. You can edit it and even edit to a dictionary. So the next time you run the automated transcription for your next interview, the results will even be better. So it's really useful. You can also add speaker names, and then, of course, export your transcripts and use them in NVivo. Another thing that might be useful for a lot of you is that, of course, you can use NVivo to work in teams. And with the latest versions, NVivo 15 and 14, it is really possible to work in real time, even across platforms. This means even across Windows and Mac. And you do so by using an add-on subscription for NVivo Collaboration Cloud. So this allows you to upload your project file as a cloud project and invite your team members, and then you can work on the same project in real time, even from different locations. So no matter where you're located in the world, you will be able to collaborate, to add your coding, to add your files. Yeah, and just create a project together. But this was just the introduction. I want to now switch to the demo part. Okay, you should now see my NVivo screen. So this is how the NVivo start screen looks like. And those of you who know NVivo, you might be surprised to see a completely new color scheme. So before, and I think you might see this here at the bottom of my my window, the last years NVivo was always blue. The icons were always blue, but now we have this specific shade of purple that has been introduced, and we also have a completely new logo, as you can see here. Okay, but what do we have on the start screen here? As you can see, you have a place where you can log into your account. Why is it relevant to log into your account? First of all, if you want to activate your license, most of you will have to log in once. Another reason why I'm logged in right now is because I want to use some of the add-on features. So if you want to use the AI assistant and have an unlimited subscription, you need to be logged in, of course, so that you can use it. Or if you have been invited to a cloud project that you see here, or you want to upload a project to the cloud, of course, you also have to be logged in. Or if you want to send files to NVivo Transcription directly from NVivo. If you don't want to do any of those things, actually, you do not have to stay logged in while you work in NVivo. Just information for you. I've already opened a project. So let me show you what we have in NVivo. So we basically have three main areas here in the navigation view. The first segment that we see here is the import area. And in the import area is where you can create folders and import the different files that you want to use in NVivo. Like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of different types of files that you can add. You have this little tab here for import, where you can choose the different types of files that you want to import. So this is what we have here. If I scroll down, I get to my organize section. And in the organize section is where we can create our codes. So codes in NVivo are your categories, topics, themes, sentiments, anything that is relevant for you to analyze your data, anything that you are specifically looking for in your data. We also find our cases here. So in NVivo, you can create cases, for instance, for your interview participants or for your survey respondents, and even include their demographic information so that it might be easier for you to compare, okay, what did people from different groups have to say about a certain topic that I have coded for. Then we also have the notes here, where you can just take notes in forms of memos and annotations. And finally, we have the explore section where we can store queries that we plan on running several times or that we just want to save to our project, and even visualizations like maps. Okay, but let's have a closer look at how this looks like. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to open one of my interviews. As you can see from the list already, my interviews come in different forms. So some of them are just regular Word documents like Dorothy here. I'm just doing a double click to open it. But I also have some interviews like Betty and Paul, which is a video, and Helen, which is an audio. So different types of files here for my interviews. Now, what do you typically do in an interview? So first of all, before I forget, we have a different view now. So in the last version, just 2 weeks ago, basically, when you would open a document, you would get an extra context ribbon on top here. This has been replaced. We now, in the detail view, have a more intuitive toolbar with all the tools that we might need right at this document. And this has now been added to almost all detail views in NVivo. So we will always, or most of the time, see this extra toolbar on top. That is just the things that you usually need when you want to work in a document. Okay, so what do we do? And no matter what project you have, no matter what type of analysis you do, one of the things we need to do is familiarize ourselves with our data, read through our interview, get an understanding what people talk about and what might be relevant. So here I start reading just at the top, and I learned that Dorothy is a retired department store clerk. And what I also know is that this department store she worked at has since been closed down. And this is relevant because this project is about the development in the area and the changes that are going on. So I want to make a quick annotation about the store being closed. So I do a right click here, and I can add a new annotation down here in the window. So as you go, you can add annotations. Annotations will always have like a blue highlight with a little speech bubble icon. What you can also do is, besides your manual annotations, you can also use the AI as an annotation tool. And I will show you why this could be useful. So for instance, here in question 3, I learned something about Dorothy's husband, or her first husband. And she says, my husband was a longshoreman. Well, I'm not a native speaker, so I have no idea what a longshoreman is. So what I will try and do is to mark this word and have AI give me an explanation for it. How do I do this? I do a right click and choose AI Assistant Summarize Text. So what I can now choose is what this summary should be in. The name of the AI text summarization is a bit misleading. It's more a text explanation. If you just choose one word, it will give you an explanation of what it is, hopefully. So no matter what your language is in, so here this is English, I can still choose to have my summary in a different language. So there is a long list of languages I could choose from. There's also different length of, maybe I want not a short, but a little bit longer explanation of what a longshoreman is. And then I click generate. And now the AI tool will give me an answer. A longshoreman, also known as a dock worker, is responsible for loading and unloading cargo from ships at ports. Very useful. I didn't know that. So now I can decide, okay, is that something that I that is fine for me to just know, or is that something that I want to add? If I click cancel, this will just live in my head, but if I click OK, this will also be added as an annotation. And if I scroll down here to the annotation window, I can see, okay, let me show this. So the annotation again is blue with the speech bubble, and the annotation that has been created by AI always gets this little AI initials, so that I know that this has been created by AI and not by myself. Of course, annotations are just one way of writing or taking notes while you read. But it's not enough. When we work with qualitative data, we usually need a lot of space to write about our data. And that's usually what we do in our memos, which we can find here. And let me just go back to my interview list. So for Dorothy, maybe you would want to add a memo. And as you can see here, this little link symbol next to Ken, this means that there has been a memo already added to this document. So you can link memos to specific documents or even codes, so that you have a place where you can write about this specific document or this specific code. In Dorothy's case, I will first ask the AI to summarize what is in this document. So I choose right-click AI Assistant Summarize. And again, I can choose the language that the summary should be in. I can choose, maybe I want to, again, have a standard summary and click Generate. Now with AI tools, as most of you might know who have, tested them out, sometimes we review the results and then think, I'm not particularly happy. So you can just generate them again and see if it comes up with a better fitting result. Just feel free to do that. But I'm quite happy. So here I get a summary. Dorothy shares her deep connection to Down East, etc., etc. And of course, if you are already familiar with your data, you will know if this makes sense or not. Again, you can either skip this or add this as a memo, and this is exactly what I will do. So I click on Add Memo and OK, and then it should close this. And we now see that Dorothy also has this link symbol here. So let's check out maybe our memos to see what has happened there. If I click on Memos, I can now see I have an additional folder. So for memos, some users use memos extensively because you might have different things that you want to talk about or that you want to take notes on. So you can even create different folders for the different types of memos that you need in your project. Here we have team memos, here we have a folder just for project and administration and so on. And the AI summaries get their own specific folder, which I think is really useful. So first, when you create your AI memo, it will sit here under AI summaries. So let's have a look at this. Let's open the memo and let's see how it looks like. So here's the summary that AI has created. I will go into edit mode to continue editing this document or this memo. One thing that this tool doesn't do automatically, but that I like, is to just add the timestamp. So there's a shortcut, Control-Shift-T. Now I know exactly when this AI summary has been created. And from here, I can now, of course, continue typing and adding any information. To this memo. And please be aware, you have some editing tools here. And if you just do a right click, you can, of course, also export memos. This is a great way, if you want to start writing and need a raw text that you want to base your writing on, etc. Let's go back to our interviews. Now, using memos in generally is useful. Using the AI summaries, I have a few use cases that I think are useful. If you have a large amount of data and you want to make sure that you remember what your interviews are about, you can use the AI tool to create the summaries for you. Also, if you work in a team and you don't, not everyone needs to read all interviews, but they should have a general idea of what the interviews are about. Or even another use case where you might be working in a team or not, but maybe with files in different languages, you can have the summary in a language that you understand well, or that all of the team understands well, even though they might not be able to read the actual interview. So I think that's a really nice use case to imagine. Okay, but let's go back to Dorothy's interview. And now let's maybe look into codes and coding. So we've read everything, we have made a few annotations and memos, and now we want to start coding our data. I will not go into much depth about how you code. There are different approaches depending on what your research method is, but in the end, NVivo and the coding in NVivo is suited for anyone who has a category-based approach of analysis. So the general idea is you create a list of codes. Let me just see if I can make this a tiny bit bigger for you. You create a list of codes that is relevant for your specific type of data. So here they have codes like natural environment, economy, policy management, etc. And then you go through your data, you read through your text, you look at your videos, you explore what's on your pictures that you analyze. And then whenever you find something that fits into one of the codes or categories that you have created, you code with it. So just to show you, and I'm just taking a random example here, but let's imagine this quote on top is about infrastructure. I could just drag and drop it and put it into the code infrastructure. Of course, you can also create codes as you go. So if here, and that would be inductively, so I come across a quote and none of the codes that I have created yet are until now are fitting, I can just also drag and drop this into the white space here and create a new code. For codes, I always recommend using the description field, because this way you know what your rule for coding is, or your general idea behind this code, and also your team members. If you work in a team, it's especially important that you agree on a way of coding, or that it's kind of transparent who codes how. Okay, so now I've added this new code inductively, and you also see in my view here, you can see who created the codes. These are my initials, and the rest of the codes have been created by researchers that that previously worked on this file. So this way, there's also other options, of course, of how you can code. You can just mark something, and then on top here where it says code, you can either code to recent codes, which shows you all the codes that you have just been using, or you can click on code selection, where you can see the whole list of codes. And if you hold the control key, you can even select several codes at the same time. So if this is about policy management as well as real estate development, and maybe even more, I can code it to all of these at the same time. But we have been coding, but we don't really see what has been coded. So let me get a bit more space here. To see what you've coded, you can switch on the coding stripes. The coding stripes are on top here. And with the release 15.3, we have a new view for the coding stripes. So before you could either see all of your coding stripes, just selected items, most coding, least coding. What has been added, and I think this is really useful, those of you who have been working with NVivo will probably agree, we can now see current coding. So let's switch this on and see what this does. So current coding is a more dynamic way of how the coding stripes are displayed. So you can scroll through your document, and we see here, for instance, we have coded for economy, but also agriculture and infrastructure. If I scroll down, here's something about real estate development, and here's something about natural environment. In the other types of coding stripes views, you would have, for instance, this line here for economy going through the whole document, even if there's nothing coded. So this view that we currently have, I just show you again, current coding, is more dynamic. It just shows you exactly what is coded at which point of the data. And like this, you can already start, let me find an example. Yeah, start to see some overlaps. You know, if you see, aha, infrastructure, agriculture, and economy seem to overlap, this might be something that you can explore further. First, you might see it in your coding stripes, then you might see it in another interview, and then you might think, well, this is maybe something that I want to explore in one of my queries, a coding query, to see, okay, where does this overlap and how and what can I do with that? So just to let you know, as you see, if I'm hovering the coding stripes, depending on what color you have in the coding stripes, this will also affect the highlight that you see. Another thing that you also see is this first coding stripe here, which is called Dorothy. And Dorothy is the speaker in my example interview here. And with this coding stripe, it shows that only exactly what Dorothy has said has been coded to her specific case. This is something that can be very useful because probably we have some demographic information about Dorothy. And then we can basically, in the next step, look for patterns or filter our data and see, okay, what did women age, I don't know, let's say she's 40 to 49, had to say about economy, just like you see here. So this is why this is very useful. Okay, I want to show you how it would look like to code in a different type of file, which is our video files. And there has also been some changes on how video files are displayed or how everything looks like. So first of all, we have a new waveform that is easier to see. Before it was rather small. Again, we have the toolbar on top instead of having the additional context ribbon. And our play buttons have been moved to the bottom. So those of you who work with NVivo for Mac, they might think, well, this has always been like this. No, in Windows, they have been at a different location. So now Windows and Mac also start looking more alike, which is very useful if if you switch maybe between platforms, or if you work in a team and try to communicate what you're trying to do, or even if you teach NVivo, this will be very useful for you. If the more alike the two versions look, the easier it will be to explain everything. So I will save, of course. So down here, like I said, you have your play options. I don't think you will hear the audio, but you can see that those two are starting to move. They are listening to the interviewer, and we'll soon start talking. And with audio and video files, you can decide yourself if you want to work just with the audio or if you want to add a transcript. And you can add a transcript either by importing it, for instance, if you have created it with NVivo transcription, or you can also use the transcribe mode here. It's currently grayed out because I'm not in edit mode. If you want an edit transcription, of course, you need to be in edit mode. But you can create your own transcripts. There's different ways of how you can do that. And you get the different options to play on loop and adjust the speed so that it is actually possible for you to easily transcribe. In audio files or in video files, you can code directly on the audio. So I can code this selection maybe to my new code that I have just created. And this will allow me to play exactly this part of the audio. Of course, I can also code in the text here. Let me just find just a random example. In the transcript, both is possible. Okay, let me just code this as well. And of course, if you add a transcript to a media file, this part is searchable. So if you ever run lexical queries like word clouds or look for specific words or phrases, of course, it will look in the edit transcripts. We are not yet there. It cannot search for specific terms directly in the audio or on the video or pictures. We are not yet there, but who knows what else AI can do in the future. Okay, but let's maybe review how it looks like if we coded something. So I just want to review this new code that I've created. So far I see that I've coded in 2 different files, and I have a total of 3 references. So 3 quotes or pieces of material that are in this code. And now I can read through everything that is coded. I can see which document these or which files these quotes come from. And for Betty and Paul, which is the video, I also get the exact timestamp, which is coded. And if I want to play what's coded, I go to the, I don't know if you can see it, to the very right part of my screen where it says video, and I can click play, and it will jump exactly to the part where Betty has said something relevant that I wanted to code. So you're very flexible in how you want to code. All right. As you might notice, for your codes, you can create subcodes, right? So sometimes we start with a broader category like natural environment, and we code very roughly, and then we realize, we actually need some subcodes that are a bit more specific. It could also happen the other way around. You start with a lot of very specific aspects or subcodes, and then realize, well, I could actually group them together under one bigger top-level code. You're very flexible on how you do this. You can also change this throughout the analysis and just do some housekeeping every once in a while. You can have several levels underneath, but we always recommend keep it manageable. So 1, 2 levels maybe should be fine. Now, if you code a lot, you can again, one thing that we do is, of course, we want to review what is in our code and so on to get an understanding what has been said. And luckily, we again can use the AI assistant, our very own research assistant, to help us with that. So I'm taking this example here, the infrastructure code. I could ask the AI to just create a summary of what has been coded. What is, give me a summary of what I've coded so far. So similar to what we've seen in the document summary for Dorothy, and we would also be able to add this as a memo. Another thing that you can also do is to have the AI assistant suggest the child codes. Remember, we can add child codes or sub-level codes, depending on how you want to call them. And maybe you think, well, I've coded to infrastructure, but I understand kind of what it's about, but I really cannot come up with useful names of the subcategories, whatever. So let's just get some inspiration from the AI assistant, suggest child codes. So here you see that the code infrastructure is now going to be analyzed, but it will only be based on the textual references. So there are 38 textual references across 12 sources. Again, you can choose the language that your child codes should be in, which makes a lot of sense. If you have an Estonian or Finnish code list, you don't want, you probably want your subcodes in the same language. Okay, so I click generate. And now it's quite interesting because I will now review what the AI tool has suggested to me. And there's now different options that I have. So I can decide if I want to add the code to my list of codes or not. I can also decide whether I want to include the references or not. By default, everything is ticked, but maybe you think, well, the code is nice, but yeah, the references I don't need to add. I just want to have the code added as a new idea. If I see something like this where I see just one reference that this code is based on, maybe I would tick it off just because I think maybe this is not too relevant. Below here, by the way, if you click through through the codes, you see kind of a preview of what this code suggestion is based on. So maybe I will, decide, nah, I don't think I need this one. I think I need this one, but the rest looks fine. So if I click OK now, let me see how this will do. Here we go. I now have a plus sign in front of infrastructure, which I can click on. And now I have all these subcodes. Like I said, sometimes in this particular case, maybe I should have run the AI twice, but we don't have the time because I think this is a lot of very small subcodes. So, but you see that that anything that you create with AI again gets this initials so that you know, okay, this is something that the AI has created for me. Okay. All right. I'm looking at the time, and I think we should move from coding to cases. So cases in NVivo are a very, very useful and powerful part of your project. Cases are your units of analysis. So this could be your interview participants, your survey respondents, but it could also be something completely different. If you analyze places, organizations, or companies, whatever, you could also create those as cases. There's really no limitation. You just create a specific case classification for the different types of cases that you have in your project. And here we have, for instance, our interview participants. We see Dorothy here, and everything, all the material, all the quotes that come from her interview are sitting in her case. And when I look at the case properties, I can review the attribute values, and this is the attribute values. You can add as many attributes and values as you like, depending on what you need. So here, for instance, we learn that she lives in Williston and she lives in the area for 3 or more generations, and gender is female. So any demographic information or descriptive information that you have about your interview participants or your organizations, you can add here. And this will then be relevant for the next step, where we can explore our cases. Let me just close this so it doesn't get too busy. Okay, so there are different ways of how we can explore our data. You'll kind of see a preview up here, but today I want to focus on something that is new, or where there are news with NVivo 15.3, which is the framework matrices. 1 second, I'm going to take a sip of tea. Okay, so framework matrices are a form of taking notes. So they are located under the notes section, and they allow you to create a framework from your cases and their coding, and step by step summarize what everyone has said. So I have already created one. Let me show you how this looks like. Let me get more space. So for your framework matrices, you can select the different cases that you want to write the summaries about or that you want to review. And you can also add the relevant attributes. So here, let me just find a good example. So here, for instance, we see all the coding that comes from Barbara. She's 40 to 49 female. Yeah, when I hover over it, I see it. She's in down east for 2 generations and lives in Straits, or his township is Straits. And here on top, we have the different codes that I have picked that I want to review. I can click on the different cells, and it always will show me the code or the any coding from Barbara. But what I can also now do is to have the AI tool add a summary to what has been coded. So let me just maybe find another example, this one here. If you have a lot of text and you think, well, if I need a quicker way to review this, or I want, just the essence of what is said, I can do a right click again and have the AI assistant summarize the coded content. I want to have just a short summary maybe this time. Let's click generate, and then it will go through the coding for this code. And I can either, again, same, this is basically true for all the AI tools that I've shown you. You can either just review it and think, well, that's fine, good to know, or you can say, you can rerun it, or you can also say, well, I'm happy with the results, I'm going to add the summary, and then I can click OK. And now the summary should be here. Again, you get the AI initials, and it's sitting down here. And framework matrices are now also available in Mac. This has been something that was not available at all for many, many years. And yeah, I'm happy to announce that any Mac users in the audience, make sure to update to NVivo 15.3, because then you will also be able to use these framework matrices, including the AI, if you want to. Okay, looking at the time, I think I should show you a few more of the things that have been added with NVivo 15.3. It has really been a lot, and maybe I will miss some things. But okay, so just keeping the theme, we are trying to review our cases and what's coded, and the framework matrix is a great way to take notes and summarize what each case has said about certain topics that you coded for. But we also have other types of explore tools and queries that would have a little bit of a different approach. And I want to show you the cross-step query. So a cross-step query is a way to analyze your codes either by cases, just to compare how many times did someone say something about a certain topic that I coded for, or also by groups. So what you see here, and let me just give you a bit more color here. So what we see here are the different codes, agriculture, fishing, etc. And now we see what has been, okay, I think in this case, it's the cases coding. Let's switch to references. How many references we have for the different codes in the different age groups and gender. And this allows us to do the following. So for instance, we have this fishing and aquaculture code. One way of reviewing your codes is, of course, to just read through everything that you have coded. But this can be confusing. One way is the framework matrix, which already helps you to focus just on the coding for one specific case, etc. But here we can, first of all, start looking for patterns. And second of all, it gives us the option to really look at the coding from one group at the time. So I can, from here, really go group by group and see, okay, what did the 3 female participants, age group 30 to 39, have to say about fishing, and so on. And I already start seeing patterns. This is the smallest group. Apparently, I just have 5 people in this age group. And then here, these 2 groups are much bigger, which also means I expect to have more coding. We always have to be careful when we quantify qualitative data, right? And from here, I could then look at what the 15 female participants had to say. I can double click into the cell, and it will reveal what's behind the cell. So I will always be able to not just be looking at numbers, but I will always be able to see what has been coded. Now, what's new with NVivo 15.3 might be exciting for those of you who work with mixed methods approaches, because if I scroll to the very end of this cross step, there have been some columns that have been added. Before we just had this total, but now we also get the mean, the median, and standard deviation, etc. There are also some new visualizations that have been added. Let me see. Let's give NVivo a few seconds here. Okay, so this is the result preview of a principal component analysis biplot. Those of you who work with Excel stat might be familiar with these types of analysis. Here we also get a box plot to kind of see how the answers are distributed. I have to admit, I'm not, I understand qualitative analysis pretty well. Quantitative analysis is not exactly where I'm too familiar with. So those of you who are interested in learning more about what the actual mixed methods features do and how you can use them, I will add this link to the chat just after the session, so that you can read up exactly on what each thing does and how you get there. Okay, but one more thing that I want to show you is how you can share your data with Excel stat, because again, like I said, the mixed method options for you are now much stronger. So if you click on share and export, you can now do an Excel stat export. You would have to choose the case classification and the different attributes that you want to see, and then you choose your codes. Of course, I have prepared this, and then this looks something like this. So you get the different cases in the rows, you have the different attributes, and then you get the number of references in the of how many times they said something about a certain topic that you coded for. Of course, these types of analysis have to be prepared. Specifically, those of you who are familiar maybe with quantitative content analysis might understand how this can be relevant. It's not for everyone, probably not. Just don't be overwhelmed if I show you all these mixed methods features, but it can be really, really powerful and useful if you have a mixed methods approach. If you want to do a quantitative content analysis or something like this, now you get a really easy way to export this to Excel and then maybe have it analyze it in Excel stat. Okay. I just want to add a few more words about the AI assistant. I tried to show you that, we just want to use the AI assistant as a form of exploring our data. It's our research assistant, and we can also disagree with our human research assistant, right? So the idea is that we do the AI exploration, have it create an explanation for a term, have it create summaries, then we reflect on it, and either we agree and add it to our project, or we just run it again until we are happy and we want to add it to our project. Also, if you are not sure if you want to use AI in your analysis, just be assured that you are still at the helm, right? You are the one who is in control of what you want to accept or reject. You don't have to, the AI tools will not override what you are doing in your project if you don't accept it. And also regarding data security, this is probably something that is very relevant for you. All data stays your data, and once the AI completes the task, the information is sent to your NVivo project and deleted from the servers. I will also include the link to the AI terms and conditions in the chat after this session, so you can see it there. And also, and this is also something that has been requested by a few organizations or researchers that are just unsure, am I allowed to use this or not? With NVivo 15.3, you now have an AI switch off. So you can either switch off the AI for an entire license via the My Lumivera portal, which is the license management portal that you might be familiar with, or you can also disable it on specific devices. So those of you who are still not sure, who would like to use it, but are not sure if they are even allowed, and you need to, yeah, you have the option now to switch it off until you're sure that you're allowed to use it, in case there's any doubt. Okay, and with that, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Again, I want to remind you that we have a lot of upcoming trainings in November. The one in November, we still have a few slots left. So if you want to sign up for that, I'm looking forward to that. And we have a discount code for all of you who have joined the online demo day, which is demo 2025. You get a 10% discount on all EndNote and NVivo trainings until the end of January. So make sure to already sign up at the coupon code. Like I said, you find all this information also in the handout section. Make sure to check out the handout section in GoToWebinar. You find also a flyer for NVivo. You find the training flyer. Just download everything, and then you can review it at your own pace after the session. But this is all I have to say today. Are there any questions?
Hi, Marit. Thank you for the great demonstration of NVivo. Peter, I don't know, do we have any questions? I see the time is running out, but maybe we can take one question.
I have a very short question that came up via email actually, and that is if is there a plan to make it possible to run NVivo 15 against a server?
Run against us?
Yeah, well, for collaboration, for instance.
Yes, there are plans. I can hint at it. We do not have an exact release date, but NVivo Collaboration Server will be coming back. So NVivo Collaboration Server allows you to collaborate on one project file, but everything is stored on your local in your local IT infrastructure. So it's perfect for teams who are all in the same location, and all your data is stored securely at your own on your own server. It's not yet there, but it's not too far away. So that's the news that I have on that.
Cool. There are some. I know we don't have many minutes left, so there are some questions that are more of a support nature. So I just, as an information to everyone, we will answer those in writing instead. And just a question to you, Marit, again, because there have been a number of questions regarding what languages are supported for when it comes to transcription, for instance.
Yeah. So maybe let me try if I can go back to the slide. There's currently 43 languages supported. I will just put the slide, well, if I find it, give me 1 second, so that maybe those of you who are interested can
Meanwhile, I can
take a screenshot or yeah, it will be in the video. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but I need to switch screens and prepare for the next webinar. So Marit, again, thank you for the great presentation.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.